This episode is sponsored by Monkey Stuff. Monkey Stuff makes things for makers. We're inspired every day by the craft and creativity of makers and design and manufacture tools and accessories to try to make your making life a bit more delightful. Our products are designed in California, by makers and for makers, and manufactured in the USA. Check out our line of pottery accessories and tools at monkeystuff.com. Follow us on Instagram to see what we're up to in our studios, and keep on making great things.
Hey, for Flux Sake fans, looking to take your ceramic skills to the next level? Well, check out this incredible 2 to 5 day workshop offerings at Snow Farm, the New England craft program, where world-class ceramic artists lead hands-on, immersive workshops in wheel throwing, hand building, surface design, and more. Whether you're just starting or refining your voice in clay, there's a workshop for you. To register for a workshop today, visit snowfarm.org.
Hello, my name is Kathy King, and welcome to the For Flux Sake podcast. I'm coming to you from the Harvard Ceramics program in our fair city, Allston, Massachusetts. I'm here with Rose and Matt Katz of the world-famous Ceramic Materials Workshop, and they are ready to answer your burning questions about clay and glaze. Hello, Matt and Rose.
Hey, Kathy.
Hello, Kathy.
We are going to be able to see each other in the flesh soon.
I know.
Oh, I said that
I hate
so
that word.
creepily. Creepy.
Some people hate moist. I don't like flesh.
Oh, okay.
I hate the word slacks. I don't like the word slacks.
I hate slacks too.
I know.
That's a
Do you really?
We call them hard pants in our house. Nobody likes hard pants in our house.
No.
Completely understandable. Oh my God. How did we get here? Okay. Well,
But we're gonna have to wear hard pants because we're gonna be in public with all of you.
Are.
And we're going to be at the NCECA conference, which is going to be in balmy Detroit, Michigan, the third week of March. So we're super excited.
So we're going from one cold locale to another cold locale.
I know, right? Well, that's how NCECA rolls. Back in the day, it used to be like Arizona and being able to float around in pools, and now it's well, I mean, I'm psyched personally to go to Detroit because I have never been to Pewabic Pottery.
I haven't either.
The history there, oh my goodness, I'm so excited, so excited, so excited.
Yeah, I've never been to Detroit either, so I'm like excited to see the city.
Me neither, just the airport.
Yeah, the airport.
Just the airport. That's as
all
far
I've
as
seen
Matt's
of
going.
Detroit.
Okay. Well, stop by the airport to see Matt Katz. Rose and I will be at the conference.
No, that's where I've been before in Detroit. But we will be there. Unfortunately, the bad news is I don't think we're going to get a chance to do a live recording of the podcast. But you can find all of us. Kathy will be at the Harvard table, right?
Yeah.
And Rose and I will be at CMW's having a booth.
Yay, we have a booth this year.
We're going to be announcing something major, world changing at NCECA.
Yeah.
So you can come find us there. Yeah, we've got a big thing coming at NCECA that we're going to have a booth for. So you have to come and find us there. We'll have all the CMW merch. Come and get some merch.
Yeah.
And we're going to try.
We'll have Flux.
Yeah,
Flux
right.
Sake too.
Yep. We'll have for Flux Sake merch. We'll have CMW merch, hats, pins, mugs. I don't even know what else. We got notebooks, bags,
journals. Yeah.
Yep. Come and get that. And then we're going to try. There's a plan hatching for a question submission hotline for Flux Sake.
That sounds so fun.
I'll be manning the phones.
You're going to pick up a phone and get a busy signal. Kids don't know what busy signals are anymore, do they?
I know. Oh, my goodness. Oh, that's so weird. I didn't think about that. They don't.
No.
Well, and like you ask them to hang up the phone, they're like, push the button. And like
Wow.
for me, it's like, okay, hang up the phone.
Wow. Oh my God.
It's different.
I know. I said I was going to stop talking about how old I am, but I remember just having phones with
Then you forgot because they're so old.
Well, I know, because exactly. Thank you, Matt. So every fall, like Harvard puts out a thing for the incoming class, knows this or does not know that, and it was maybe, God, I don't know, even 10 years ago that they had no idea what the spiral cord was on a phone. So, and I remember those, and like you would just drag that phone like
Yep.
through 3 rooms to get some
Mhm.
privacy, and those things were like so stretched out. And producer Ben suggested that this episode is sponsored by AARP, which I think is spot on. So,
The American Association of Realistic Potters.
I don't know if that's what that stands for, but okay. Anyway, well, super excited to see y'all, and I'll be running back and forth. Come visit your booth, go back to Harvard's booth, and I'm sure there's going to be some great exhibitions.
Watch for Kathy, a red streak going across the floor.
That's
or Kathy will
right.
be streaking.
Well, I don't move that fast, but unless you want to get me roller skates or something.
Don't threaten me with a good time, Kathy.
I know how to roller. I grew up roller skating at Roland on Friday night. Ladies' choice, ladies' choice. Until I realized that the ladies' choice for another lady was not allowed, but that took some years to come along. Anyway, let's get to our questions. We've got some great ones today. So we shall start with a question about carbon coring.
Hi, this is Lynx from Seattle, and I'm wondering about carbon coring. We recently did a wood fire, and we had a piece that was broken, and it had some dark inside where it had broken, and we were kind of confused about carbon coring, although ultimately we decided that we thought it was just the clay body. And I'm wondering what the problem with carbon coring is. We know how to avoid it with moving through body reduction not too quickly, but why do we care? Anyway, thanks.
Oh, I love this.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on. Oh, let me stretch. Let me warm up.
Okay. You ready, Kathy?
Wow,
You listen, Limber.
Well, actually, I want to go to producer Ben. I mean, because Rose and Kathy pretty much have a history of working in white clays, right? That's pretty much all you guys ever work in.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, but I have 350 students.
Right. You do have darker bodies and you do have darker bodies in the studio, but Ben specifically has a history of working with darker bodies, although at lower temperatures in general. But you've worked at higher temperatures in the past before, Ben.
I carbon cored the hell out of this like high fire black clay. That was interesting. I don't think it's what I thought it was at the time, though. So I want to hear you talk about what actual problem is.
What did you think? Come on, don't.
At the time, I was told carbon coring was when you reduce early enough that you're trapping carbon in a melting body. But that doesn't even make sense. See, as I say it now, I'm realizing it does not make sense.
This is when sobriety of ceramic chemistry of hanging out with Matt kicks in.
It is. I can hear your voice. Even though I'm looking at your face, I can hear your voice going, eh.
And it's disturbing. Disturbing, isn't it, Ben?
Well, okay,
It
but
is.
then to go to the other one. So, but Rose and Kathy, you both historically work with white clay bodies. Do you ever get anything that resembles carbon coring in your white bodies?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. At the tile factory, we would get it all the time.
Well, that was something different. That wasn't a white body, though.
It was. It was considered a white
that's
body, a buff.
A stretch of the definition of white. But
I don't like that word. Buff.
Buff, yeah. That's not white. That's not white.
I just said yes to make you mad, so no.
So Kathy's no. Kathy's a liar. Got it.
True.
Well, you want to talk about your clay body experience, Rose? Because are you thinking about the ones under the glaze when you'd get those effects under the glaze, or are you thinking of it?
Yeah, we would get them in the once fired tile through the tunnel kiln. So at 2 hours and 15 minutes cycle from end to end. And it depended on our certain batches of our clay, because we tested everything that came into the factory. So we knew that certain batches of clay were going to do it. And it was because of a material that's in it that we couldn't substitute, we couldn't take out. It was there, we had to use it. Basically, it was like hand to mouth kind of factory sometimes, where it's like we got to use it. We know it's going to be a problem. We know our losses of how much we're going to get to keep and how much we have to throw away. So it was a risk assessment, but we knew that some of it would carbon core and some of it wouldn't. So,
but you would also have the problem at your other factory where there was one material in particular that would come in with massive amounts of carbon. Yep. And that would screw over production.
Yeah. And that was a different factory. So one was a tunnel kiln, one was a roller hearth, and different ways of packing those are different. So you can, certain colors, you could get what they called a halo, but it was really just under fired clay in the center. So like immature clay in the center. So, but they mistook it as carbon coring, but it really wasn't. It was just a density issue.
Exactly. And that's sort of where I was leaning, because there are, and the other thing to note about what Rose is saying is that she's also talking about two bodies that only had one firing, that these were bodies that had no bisque cycle in them.
Yeah. They were all once fired.
Yeah. And that is because what Lynx here is talking about and what Ben is talking about are not carbon coring, not even in the slightest. Carbon ain't got nothing to do with it. And this is one of the great misappropriations of language in ceramics. And everybody, I'm putting out the call. Stop calling it freaking carbon coring, because that is wrong. Why? So, very simple explanation, because carbon doesn't survive that long in a firing. It literally can't. It will break down and turn into carbon dioxide at very low temperatures, very, very low temperatures. And so the concept that it's getting stuck, it doesn't work that way. Things don't just get stuck, which is why the once firing for Rose in those conditions does have validity to it, because in the once firing, the carbon, the carbon off gassing is in that single process. So there is some involvement with that in the once fired for those tile process. But when we're talking about pots, and we're talking especially about things that have been bisqued, and the reason why I'm asking about the darker bodies versus the lighter bodies is because it doesn't happen in lighter bodies. And if it was carbon, there can be plenty of carbon in a lighter body, but it does not happen because it's not carbon. Carbon coring is a iron issue. And it's a huge issue in clay bodies. And I'm not saying that the effect that Lynx is talking about doesn't happen. The effect does happen. And what they saw in their clay bodies absolutely is real, but the cause of the problem is not carbon. Okay. What it is that iron as a material is reducible, which when you put iron into a reduction firing, like a gas kiln in reduction, but a wood kiln is, and I think she said they were doing a wood kiln, that wood kilns are reduction firings, that what happens is you are going to convert the iron in your clay body. And so you can have different chemistries of iron. You can have Fe2O3, which is probably how it started, but then you can reduce it possibly into generally FeO, which is the simplified reduced version of iron. Well, when you've got a clay body and some of it is reduced iron and some of it is unreduced iron, those two forms will have different thermal expansion. Okay, which means that they will expand and contract differently, because essentially you've put a different material in there. When you reduce it, you completely change what that iron is and what it does. And so what you'll often see is that the inside of bodies will be the darker reduced form of iron, right? People often talk about reducing their bodies to get like a blacker body. That's what Ben was talking about, right? You're trying to get like a black body out of it. So you're reducing it into FeO. The problem is oftentimes that bodies, especially in a long firing, Iron doesn't want to stay reduced. That is not its natural state. And so what oftentimes will happen is that you'll reduce the entire clay body, and then during the firing, the outside perimeter of the clay will reoxidize and it will turn back into the original form of iron. So now you have these two contrasting chemistries of glass that have two different thermal expansions. And we talk about thermal expansion all the time. That's why glazes craze. That's why pots dunt, is because differences in thermal expansion. It creates stress, and that causes pots to fail. But it's all about the iron and not about the carbon. That
Wait
said,
a second. So thinking back to, oh my God, talking about old days, when I was a junior in college, that I was working with a white body, and I would have gray interiors all the time because I was doing heavy reductions.
Yep.
So
that's the same thing, because you are still reduced. There's still iron in those porcelains. It's usually not enough to do a major conversion of the having of the mass of iron that'll really change that behavior. But you're absolutely right. You can see it in a porcelain. Like if you have a porcelain that's been reduced and you break it, you'll see a grayer inside and a whiter outside. Yep, same reaction.
okay.
Yep,
But that's enough
absolutely.
iron to do that in a porcelain body, because I mean,
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we see it all the time, just in the fact that iron, that this is why people want porcelain reduced. So reduction in porcelain is actually fascinating,
yeah.
because reduction in porcelain, if you just take a porcelain and you fire it in oxidation, it will be kind of yellow. Like it'll be yellow shaded, because in fact that body, even though it's a quote unquote white clay, still has some iron contamination. And that iron is Fe2O3, and that's the oxidized form. And that iron is going to make everything look yellow, because low concentrations of brown, red iron oxide is really brown, it looks yellow. But when you reduce it, you turn it into FeO, and that looks blue. And when you have a white thing, there's no such thing as anything white in this world. All white has a tint, and it's either cold whites, which are blue colored, or they're hot whites, which are yellow colored.
Warm
and porcelains
whites.
are the same.
Hello, warm whites.
Right.
Get your color theory right.
She's right, you guys. Nobody record this. Ben, turn off the recording. But yeah, that's why you do get like why porcelain looks whiter in reduction, because you are getting the reduced form, which looks blue, which looks whiter to our eyes. But yeah, as far as the carbon in a wood firing, the problem is the wood firings are such chaos. And it's why you tend to see it more in wood. Well, it's because every time you stoke a wood firing, you're pushing it into reduction, because you're dumping fuel into it, and then it burns, and then it's back in oxidation, and then it's in reduction, and then it's in oxidation, and it's not a
well, and you have the
consistent
orange
reduction.
flame all the time. You're not really getting to that blue oxidizing flames. But
absolutely.
But is that where the name comes from? Is because it's just like the soot and things that kind of stick around?
That's an interesting question. I don't know why they gave it the name, except, and so, back to the original question, they were implying that it was something wrong with when the body reduction happened, or something like that. The carbon, I think that is just people completely misappropriating it. I think that they are looking at something black and going, well, carbon is black. And they don't look at iron and say, well, iron is black, but iron oxide is black. But we just don't see it that way, because you don't have FeO in your glaze lab. There is a black iron oxide, but that's actually Fe3O4, which is a completely different form of iron. But we don't have that in the glaze lab, so people don't associate it. They're like, this body was brown. Why would I see it black, except that it must be this carbon, and there's carbon in the wood from the firing and all that. But like, wood is just fuel. Wood is not special. It is just dirty fuel. That's all that it is. And it's all carbon at the end of the day. And so I think people just make that assumption. How the reduction affects it, like, yeah, it does for the quality of it and why we body reduce and how we body reduce. But at the end of the day, the reason why you tend to see something like this so much in wood firings is because of that inconsistency. Although my favorite example, I had a student years ago, Scott Jelich, who was having this problem with getting quote unquote carbon coring. And the amazing thing is his big problem is that he was making these jars, and the lids The lids were too tight. And so what was happening is he was not getting reduction on the inside of his jars. So those were staying the lighter color, but he was getting reduction on the outside of his jar. So they were turning black and they were all popping.
Yeah.
And the hilarious thing is that we actually figured this out because one day he had a pot where the lid broke as he was loading the bisque, but he put the pot in anyway, and it was black all the way through. And in fact, that body being black all the way through was so tough. When we went to break it to look at the cross section, it bounced off the concrete floor. And I'm talking like an 18-inch cookie jar. It bounced.
Really?
Yeah, the black actually makes it so much tougher if you fully reduce it.
Oh, wow. I think of it as more about fragility. I feel, when somebody walks up or comes to my office to show it to me, it's been a piece that's been broken.
Well, that's usually the only time you see it.
Exactly.
Is if it's, the cross section.
Yeah. But you're saying it's tougher. So
if it's consistent, it has to be
if it's
all
consistent.
the way.
Okay.
Yeah. Because if it's not consistent, then it's actually it's weaker than if it was consistent.
Yep. That's the big problem. And that's really hard to manage. That's the bummer news.
Yeah.
Today's episode is brought to you by the Rosenfield Collection of Functional Ceramic Art. The collection exists as an online source for research and inspiration, featuring photos of thousands of objects made by over 800 artists. The images are high quality and can be used with no permission required. To find out more, visit www.rosenfieldcollection.com.
Glazes don't make sense, but that's why Rose and I are here at ceramicmaterialsworkshop.com, helping translate glazes for real ceramicists like you. So join us for our brand new class starting October 1st. For everyone from beginners to masters, we clear up all the mysteries of glazes to make them work for you. Join us at ceramicmaterialsworkshop.com for making glazes make sense.
Well, Oakley dokley. Time's a wasting, people. Let's go on to another question. And this question comes from a beloved member of our Harvard ceramics family. I had nothing to do with putting this
Are you
in the
sure?
queue. I think so. Gloria.
I made this queue.
Gloria from Newton, Mass. Called in and asked about kiln safety.
Hi, Matt, Rose, and Kathy. This is Gloria from Newton, Massachusetts. I have a question about kiln safety. I have an Excel select fire kiln in the unfinished part of my basement. It's vented to the outdoors. The kiln is in good condition, but I always have worried about the safety of having a kiln in one's home. I wonder what your thoughts are on the worst thing that could happen, and is there any precaution I should take, like having a fire extinguisher nearby? This is a problem for me since I'm always a bit reluctant to leave the house if the kiln is running, and I also worry about the safety of running the kiln overnight when I'm asleep. I can't seem to find much about this online, so I thought you might have some words of wisdom based on your combined decades of experience. I'm hoping you can allay my fears and tell me to just set it and forget it. Thanks so much. I love your podcast.
See, isn't she the sweetest?
That is,
That's
it's a very good question too.
Set it and forget it.
So, Matt, how many fire extinguishers do we have?
Just in the workshop?
Yeah.
5?
Well, if
Good
you're
5.
asleep, how do you know you need to use it?
Well, that's what the smoke and carbon monoxide test detectors
That are web
for.
connected and the cameras
Oh,
and
yeah,
everything.
Yeah.
No, Rose, first of all, before we even get into this question, the one thing, as Rose is saying, that does need to be addressed, everyone listening here, you 100% need to have a fire extinguisher in your studio anyway. You should have it no matter what.
Yep.
But if you have a kiln in your studio, yes, you must have a fire extinguisher. And the other thing, people, watch those expiration dates. They do expire. And
they do
it's a
lose
bummer.
pressure sometimes too. Yeah.
Rose, Does everybody, have we even talked? We must have mentioned this on the show, you guys.
I don't think so.
No,
We
I
don't
don't
need
think
to
so.
mention that.
No. No.
Rose, you guys. Hold on. Now Rose needs a new hat because she had a different hat. Because Rose was a volunteer firefighter. She
That's right.
She was Lieutenant Rose in the Alfred, New York Fire Department.
Wow.
Yes, I was.
That's hot.
Thanks, Kathy.
I mean, it
So
is.
true. She looked
More
great in
ways
that
than one.
uniform.
Yeah.
Mm.
And the one thing that I mean, I the experience that I had from firefighter training is amazing. And the Volunteer Firefighter Association of New York State is amazing at teaching volunteer firefighters. And the one thing that really terrified me in class was electrical fires. And that's really the big takeaway from having a kiln is make sure it's installed properly by an electrician who is certified, and you know, be sure to inspect your electrical cords every so often, every year ideally. But yeah, electrical fires are not a fun thing to deal with.
And I don't think there are any hard statistics on it, but I think it is fair to say, and that I've seen this reported, that the fires that occur from kilns are because of electrical connections, not because of the kilns themselves.
Yeah.
So faulty wiring through the walls, in the panel, from the house. If it is done by a professional, you should have all the correct gauge wire run through conduit or run properly through the walls. You should have the appropriate receptacles, connectors, shutoffs, all of those types of things. But the vast majority of fires that happen from electric kilns happen because of electrical issues, not because of the kiln.
And you should make sure your fire extinguisher can handle electrical fires, not just go off the shelf and go find one, because they're rated. They're A, B, C, and D. So you need to find one that's rated for electrical fires, which a lot of them are. It usually has, a lot of them will cover a wide range, but look specifically for electrical fires, especially for your studio.
So that answers the practical part of it. Yes, get a fire extinguisher. I guess we should other say the other, and I think we mentioned this on an episode not too long ago, is the other thing is never put anything on top of your kiln, because the other thing that causes fires is combustibles sitting on your kiln.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But the kilns themselves, no, they don't suddenly burst into flames. They're literally designed not to do that. But let's get down and dirty. How does everyone fire? Kathy, do you guys fire at night?
I did. Here at the studio, we're not allowed by Harvard Real Estate to fire or preheat the gas kilns at night unless there's people here. So we do run the electrics overnight, and but we have a very lovely system and lots of precautions. At my own studio, which is located at my papa's house, it's in my kiln's in the garage next to two custom built hot rods, a 1940 Ford Coupe and a 1931 Ford Roadster. And I cannot believe, I mean, this man loves me to let me do this, but
your dad's pretty dreamy.
Now there's only one place in the garage I can put the kiln. So the cord wasn't long enough. And I made the mistake of taking two cords and jerry rigging them together. So I know, well, and I will tell you, it didn't take long to completely melt those the plugs that were. So kiln cords, I will say, do not work like extension cords. What I was able to do was get a qualified kiln repair person who got a longer cord, and we put it in safely. So now that works to get to the plug. So you can use a longer cord, though I think that in this case it would be Scott. I don't think they recommend you ever doing that, but that's, the cars come first, people. The cars come first. And the biggest thing, so he gets freaked out. He'll have the windows open. He has a fan in the door to, make sure the heat goes out. And we do have the fire extinguisher. It's a little nerve-wracking, but a girl's got to do what a girl's got to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and everybody, we talk about it all the time. Some of our firings do go into the overnights, but in general, the way we always fire is, we have 5 p.m. comes, and we have people that work for us in the workshop, so they're sort of making glaze tests for us all day. 5 p.m. comes, and I go and turn on the kilns. And because we fire fast, basically all of our kilns are done before I go to bed. I usually have an 11:30 bedtime, and they will be done going up. They'll still be cooling through the rest of that time, and that's the gas kiln and the electric kilns.
And do you pop your head in there like you're checking on the children?
Well, so
What? He doesn't check on the children.
Yeah, I think it was a better chance of checking on the kilns.
Neglect is a hell of a parent. Really does a great job. You'd be amazed how resilient these kids are. Ben, you can use that as a future tip. Ben's still got a young one. Ours are older. Neglect goes really far. I resent that. I used to check on the kids every night on the way to bed until they told me to stop. Daddy, you're invading my privacy. Means I was walking in on playing video games when he shouldn't have been, but
exactly.
But yeah, Matt still watches the kilns. Like we make sure that they're firing when somebody is awake and
our
around.
Electric kilns all are web connected. And so while we're hanging out through the night, I am constantly watching them on the app to see what they're doing. And we have multiple cameras in the studio. I have cameras that I can move and adjust and zoom in on. So if I think there's anything sketchy, I also have web connected lights, so I can turn on the lights in the studio when I'm not there if I don't think the camera's showing me what I want. So maybe it's paranoid, but like we're making sure that we're doing all the things. That said, would I be okay firing overnight? Yeah, I don't really have a problem with that. I don't do it, but it would be fine. I will say the one thing I do that is paranoid is that if we are leaving the house for anything besides leaving our street, I will not fire anything. I will even turn off kilns that are running if we have to leave to go to wherever, to the store or something. So I always schedule my firings that there's somebody in the house, but we monitor them as much as we can. But do I think that it's probably fine? Yeah, I mean, it's fine. It is the combust. Honestly, the don't wire it yourself if you are not trained in electrical. That is a big one. Do not wire these kilns yourself. And then the other one is the combustibles. Man, that it is so easy to take like your apron or your kiln gloves or a dirty rag and throw it on top of a kiln, and that could, I'm not saying it will, but that could combust, and that would
give it space around the kiln too. Like
yes,
don't stack cardboard against it. And
no, and there are recommendations like that the space is important. Ours are all 18 inches from any wall, and we have double layers of drywall because we have fireproofing drywall, we have fireproofing ceilings, and it's worth being cautious just because it is the place where you don't have a lot of control and things are hot.
So go get a fire extinguisher.
Everybody.
Everybody.
All right. Well, that was good. I think that really put the point on it. And thank goodness, because we have run out of time once again.
Oh,
I know.
so sad.
I know. So sad.
Oh, but Kathy, we're not quite out of time yet because I did have to say one thing.
What?
Patreon people. Hey, you.
Oh, yes. Patreon, Pottery Posse.
On the wheel. I'm talking to you throwing right now. Yes, you. Stop. Go to our For Flux Sake Patreon because we are an independent podcast and we need your support to keep the show coming. And we've got our special episodes of Flux U. We have made it a goal. We're going to answer every question that gets sent to Flux U. Oh. Not that we spend most of the time answering the question. We talk about pretty much everything else.
Well, if somebody could get to the point, we could answer more questions.
I don't know what you're talking about.
He doesn't know.
He doesn't know.
And all the rest of you, keep submitting your questions here. We love your questions. We live and die on your questions. So send your questions here. But please support us on Patreon. It really does help us keep doing what we're doing.
Yeah. And stop by in Sika. Come see us.
Yeah.
Yes. Get a hat, get a pin, all sorts of great things. Okay. See you there. Bye-bye.
Bye, y'all.
Well, folks, that's it for this week's episode of For Flux Sake. I'd like to thank the listeners who submitted questions this week, and if you want your question answered on the show, shoot us an email at forfluxsakepodcast@gmail.com. So join us next time, and when in your studio, remember what Rose always says.
Always remember to test, test, test. This is a test of the emergency glaze system. Beep.
Hi, everyone. If you've been leaning into our glaze deep dives to troubleshoot your studio struggles or just geek out over oxide ratios, we'd love to invite you to join us over on our Patreon.
Think of it as the flux that helps our creative process flow a little more smoothly.
Producing for Flux Sake takes a lot of behind-the-scenes chemistry, from research time to tech costs. By becoming a Patreon member, you're directly helping us keep the show independent and technical.
By supporting us at the $5 a month tier, you get access to our Patreon Flux U bonus episodes, archived for Flux Sake Season 1 and Season 2. And you get priority submission for your questions from the team to answer in future episodes. Oh, and along with exclusive for Flux Sake merch.
We know how quickly the cost of cobalt adds up, so we've kept our tiers accessible. Every bit of support means we can spend more time answering your questions and less time worrying about the business side of things.
So check out our link on our show notes or visit patreon.com and keep the conversation and the kilns firing.